Hello, everybody. Today is my likely most exhausted exhausted day of filming. But take a look at my military attire. This is my. This is actually my holy war military attire, I guess. So I'm really exhausted. I'm gonna sleep shortly after I film this, this video. I got very little sleep and I had to do some work and go into work and everything, and I got home. And I wanted to somehow, if I could, continue with what I've been saying, Jeffrey, about the Jews, the Holocaust, and getting into Islam. But I'm not trying to, I hope you understand, I'm not trying to exactly connect things, because, if the Lord my God have commanded, they are my religions, not mine. I'm 100% human, of course, 0% divine. But so they are never my religions. If God have commanded, they are my people, may my chosen people win, the Jews. So then I never can possess the Jews, and may the chosen people win. That's my belief. And I would hope by May 2027, at the latest, the Jews will have won. And what I enjoy to understand as the correct reality is the Jews would have access correctly to the 10 Commandments and to stop killing. So with that in mind, let me begin the 8 points I have. I guess 8 points, are they 8 points? Okay. The first point number 1 is, and I wrote this down on some paper. You can see my bad handwriting. Okay. Point number 1. I am human. I understand. I'm not trying to blaspheme. I was, I or my ancestor both were made in the image of God. But I'm not an animal. I'm never an animal, and I'm never God. So I'm not trying. So nothing in the universe is God. Nothing in the universe, nothing out of the universe is God. And no human is what an animal is, because we are made in the image of God. We are different always. In every single case, we are different. And we are never evolved with or from the same ancestors as the animals. We were created by God through all of our ancestors, like every single of our ancestors, Adam and Eve. And there was like a bottleneck at Noah and his sons. So, and according to the Quran, if I understand correctly, there were 4 sons, 3 went on the ark, and then a single didn't, and he was on top of a mountain. So he remained on top of a mountain earlier than the flood. So I wanted to say this because point number 1 is, I feel like I'm a vulture. I'm like a scavenger of some sort, but vulture, because I'm like barely surviving on the slaughtered of the Middle Eastern, beginning with the Armenian genocide for the past century approximately. The Armenian genocide, the Holocaust, the massacres of the Shia, many different issues. Sorry, I'm breathing okay, but I'm super tired. But I feel like I'm a vulture, even if this means that I stare death in the face in some instances, but I'm lucky to get away. So point number 2, I listened to some music, and I listened to some, I guess you could say, Jewish music, because the musician is a Jew, and his mother is a Jew, though his father isn't a Jew. He's ham genome, Drake. And he was talking in the song about money being put on his head. And I was thinking, if you put money on the head, like $4 million on the head, or 4 million British pounds, like approximately a century ago, or less, like under a century ago, on the head of Adolf Hitler. Okay, I'll do you one better. I'll do you a better. Okay, actually, I will put 1 billion Musalmun, after ham genome is removed permanently, I would put, of the Ummah, I will put 1 billion Musalmun mind, and then I guess that would be not 1 million, sorry, 1 billion mind and 2 billion hands, approximately, of the Ummah, of the Muslimun, on the head of the Europeans, to make them never go back to ever doing anything like the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, to the Holocaust, and even actually after, and what the plans were, and making the Jews war against, of course they are God's chosen people, but let's say there's their blood cousin Iranians in some instances, and Japheth also, of Shem genome. So, or the Nakba and the killing of the Arabs, for instance. So I will put 1 billion minds of Muslimun and 2 billion hands of the Muslimun, to show you, yes, we can arrive and beat you until you look like a woman, and we can do the same to the Africans, and we can spare no nation actually, except possibly USA, for their role, and I'm of the USA, for their role in ending the Holocaust as early as they possibly could. Okay, once they understood what was happening. Okay, so point 3, in the Talmud, I got this quotation from Google, but the Talmud, I say Talmud, but whoever saves a single life is considered by scripture to have saved the whole world. Sorry, I get emotional. I'm not just tired. I get emotional in some instances. And I believe there's an idea, sort of what is understood as like of the higher religious commandments, which is called pikuach nefesh. Sorry, I can't speak Hebrew. But it's, if I understand correctly, and it coincides with my belief entirely, actually, the higher religious commandments is preserving life, preserving to live, humans. So, point number, what is this? Because I wrote this out of order. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. Point number 4, the Nakba begins in 1948, essentially. And we can understand this as Exodus 2. There was an earlier exodus of the Jews from Ham genome in Egypt. And there's an Exodus 2 with the Holocaust from Japheth Europeans. There's an exodus, and the Jews become extremely, you could say, unbelievably weary and tired, actually, and they begin to homicide. In some instances, they begin to murder. And I guess hate is involved, but they do kill, from what I've seen. But it's possibly likely only murder, because they didn't intend to actually physically kill. They intended to murder the individual, because they are God's chosen people. So they have access to the 10 Commandments, disproportionate to just about anybody, with some exceptions, I would imagine. So we have the Nakba in 1948, when Englishman says that, essentially the Jews may return to what Israel is, and the Palestinians are in Palestine, and there's sort of an overlap in terms of land and time. So there's like massacres and slaughters of many ethnic Arabs who have the name Palestinian. If I understand correctly, I was told by a chaplain the Palestinians are actually Arabs. I thought they were like Ham genome Philistines. So, yes, sorry, can't breathe. Point 5. I mentioned in a different video, I learned this from my cousin, but I sort of like altered what her explanation was, because she had a different explanation. But the Iranian response to Exodus 2, if it's understood eventually with many years, with time, as being desiring peace eventually, and death to the evil, of course. But the response is actually, if we make it less evil on the two sides, if we have an inter-Middle Eastern civil war, an inter-Shem genome civil war, and inter-Shem and Japheth and Ham is involved, and if there's another son of Noah still living involved, all won't be excluded. The Iranian response is they would never have burned the flag of the Star of David if they understood what they were doing. because that would be to be an unbeliever, because God have commanded, they are my people. God have commandment, the God, not the God, sorry, God have commanded the Star of David. God have commandment, may my chosen people win. So there is to be never any stomping by any Musalmun or any burning of a flag featuring the Star of David. It is the flag of the Jews, but God have commandment, the Star of David. And we understand it for Muslims that David was a king, he was a prophet, he was a holy human. So I wouldn't ever try to disrespect his flag. So another point within this is the struggle to stop the Jews is to end what murder is and evil is and bloodshed is on the hands of the Jews and against the Jews also, like when they're attacked in October 7th, for instance. But the point is to slow the overexpansion, the drive to continue and continue and continue to help the Jews, to assist the Jews, to relax, to calm. You could say, sorry, like I said, some instances I get emotional, to find some peace on earth. Because, I imagine relatively like normal things in my life, and I get like extremely, like in my mind and hands, in my mind and hands, I get extremely in pain for a disproportionate amount of time. So I do not want to imagine the Holocaust and what the pain of the Holocaust is. So, but killing and overexpansion is not to be allowed. So it's a process of slowing down without getting overrun again by the evil of, not everyone is evil in Europe, but the evil of the Europeans, the evil of the Africans, the evil of many North Americans and South Americans, Australians, and humans in Antarctica. And Asia is doing its best as a continent when constantly attacked for a century also. So this is the point. I think I said 5. Did I say 5? I'm going to take a quick water break and relax a little bit and then continue. Thank you. Welcome back. Oh, you can see. Oh my God. I'm getting so tired and sleepy also. So point 6, I found out, I guess I am Mujahideen, because if that means correctly, what I understand to be a jihadist is a human who is a Musalmun, who is struggling for justice. And I realize there's like Mein Kampf, which means My Struggle by Adolf Hitler, and I am extremely anti-Adolf Hitler. I am extremely anti the Holocaust. I am extremely anti the Nazis. And I should state this very clearly, very openly. Okay, so like actually to be understood. So point number 7. Do I have the numbers and the time correct? 4 years, 6 million Jews killed, like about 1.5 million Jews killed in Europe per year on average. Okay, so what do you want me to tell you? I mean, this isn't, it's like so, this is so unbelievable when I say like I'm a vulture, but the only thing I can do is throw 1 billion Musalmun into Europe at the problem and begin beating Europeans and Africans and anybody who's all won't, except for the Jews. All won't be okay. And I think women are an exception, possibly some children, depending on what the age is, but beating, just literally beatings. And if I have to, I will become the fastest man alive. I would become the fastest man alive. And whatever I have to do. I've made some UFC videos, but if we have to start beating into your heads physically very hard, and into your faces, but being merciful, because usually we would be killing you with weapons, because we don't want to kill, thou shalt not kill. But we know in the gospel, Jesus Christ have explained, blessed are the merciful, for they shall be shown mercy. So we're being merciful, but it's getting to be too much, okay? It's past the point with what you're doing to the Jews and what they think is happening, and it's too unfair. So we have then point 8. Did I get to point 8? Okay. Point 8, Muhammad in Surah Al-Anbiya, the Prophets, 107. The Quran states, "And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy to the worlds." Okay, so Muhammad was a mercy to the worlds. So I posed this question. I began earlier, not began, but I sort of towards the earlier portion, the third point, I spoke about the Talmud, and if you save a single life, you've saved the world entire, essentially, the entire world. Okay, so I posed this question in a different video. So is it higher if you were to only have two options, and let's go back to King Solomon and wisdom and everything, but I'll make it even more forceful argument. If you only have two single options, okay, the first option is you're in the Holocaust and there's like a Jewish girl and she's just under age of puberty. Okay, now I'm never a pedophile, and I know what a rapist is, but let's just say either she goes into a gas chamber and she dies and she's gone from being a living organism. Her body is still there, but she isn't, again, a living organism, and we cannot expect reasonably, at the moment it is too unreasonable, that she will be resurrected or something of the sort, okay? So, if she is dead, is that better? Or I, as a Muslimun, take her as my concubine, and let's say she becomes my wife, okay? And I sleep with her, I do whatever physical acts I would do with a wife of any age, adult age or not. And she lives, and let's say, for instance, in her 30s, she gets a divorce from me, or she never gets a divorce from me, but let's say she gets a divorce from me. Which of these two is higher to you? Okay, because if we keep going on and on and on about Aisha, and is Aisha his wife, is Muhammad's wife? He wasn't with a little girl, he was with his own wife, okay? And it was a different time, okay? And it was a merciful reality, or else Muhammad would not have been doing such, okay? There was too much evil, and there still is too much evil, but think, so according to the Talmud and the logic of the Talmud, am I saying correctly the Talmud? In Pikuach Nefesh, the higher of the religious commandments is to live, to allow life to continue, to allow live to continue. So I am the higher. If there are only two options, let's say literally there is no third or fourth option or whatever. Let's just say, theoretically, there are only two options, judge for yourself. And to judge, lest ye be judged, this and that, you want to judge, and I've explained this in a different video. You want to judge, you want a prosecutor, you want a defense attorney. You don't want like random attacks at you, or you attack humans randomly. No, despite how long you get away with whatever. Okay, so judge for yourself. So to me, it is the higher if the girl live and she is even a rape victim by me. Not like in excruciating pain, of course, which is like close to almost dying. But so if she's as a wife to me, this is even higher, okay? So I just wanted to explain using the Holocaust, those points which may seem very what is it? Unactually, I'm gonna make up a word because I keep saying actually, unactually close to each other. But I am never an advocate of pedophilia. I'm never an advocate of rape. I'm never an advocate of to kill. I'm never an advocate of evil. But I'm giving an example, okay? So it is true in religious law to allow to live is to higher than to kill, okay? The 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. What was done in Europe is unacceptable, and is continuing unacceptably despite what you humans may think. And you need to stop worshiping ham genome and like black skin West African descended humans as like, oh, they were slaves. Look at the body size of the slaves in, for instance, the United States or Brazil. I don't know what Brazil was like. In the United States, they had large bodies because they were being given food and drinking liquids. Okay? If you starve, even if you think, no, their bodies are generally larger, if you starve them with like a tiny piece of bread, like 200 calories a day, non-ending for like months and months or years, actually, they won't be large. They'll be very skinny and thin. So look at what was done to the Jews, and have no comparison whatsoever in history of what humans are since Adam and Eve. There has been nothing like the Holocaust, and I hope there will never be again anything like the Holocaust, and it still continues. So anyways, us Muslimun who believe Muhammad was the last prophet of God and was a messenger, may peace be upon him, we are going to jump into this, and it's not going to be what you think and what you've experienced up to now, actually. Thank you. Bye-bye.